Hello, dear friends, welcome to our YouTube channel, USA Football Zone, latest football highlights. Was Argentina treated unfairly? Since July 2, 2019, this question has been echoing throughout the football world. The venue was the packed Mineiro Stadium, hosting the Copa America semifinal, Brazil versus Argentina. It was a clash of two giants, and a thrilling match was expected. Instead, it spiraled into a vortex of controversy. Brazil won by 2 goals. But 2 major decisions by the referee left Argentina feeling cheated and divided the football world. So, was it a fair match, or did the referee and his video assistants conspire to keep Argentina out of the final 2 moments? 2 penalty decisions, 2 calls that cast a shadow over a match. Brazil's 2-0 victory was immediately overshadowed by accusations of unfairness, sparking widespread outrage among players and fans alike. For Argentina, this was not merely a defeat, it was a form of robbery, one witnessed by millions watching on television. We will analyze in detail the 2 incidents that altered the course of the match, examine the referee's official defense of his actions, and attempt to understand the dramatic aftermath that led Lionel Messi to level accusations of corruption against South America's top football officials. What exactly transpired on that infamous night in Belo Horizonte? Let's dive in. The 2019 Copa America semifinal was no ordinary match. It was the host nation Brazil faced off against their arch-rivals, Argentina. The stakes were immense. A coveted spot in the final and the right to claim continental supremacy. The atmosphere at the Mineiro Stadium was electric, a surging sea of emotion. Despite being the hosts, Brazil faced skepticism from many quarters. On the other hand, led by a determined Lionel Messi, Argentina was desperate to end a 26-year trophy drought. At the center of all this drama stood Ecuadorian referee Roddy Zambrano, an experienced official who would soon become the focal point of a global controversy. From the moment the opening whistle blew, the match became intense and combative, precisely as one would expect when these 2 footballing giants face off. But the tension was only set to escalate further. Just 19 minutes into the match, Brazil scored. A moment of magic from Dani Alves cleared the path for Gabriel Jesus, who headed the ball into the net. The hosts took a 1-0 lead. The goal heightened the drama, forcing Argentina to fight their way back into the game and leaving them vulnerable to counterattacks. The stage was now set for the controversy that would become the defining feature of the entire match. As the second half progressed, Argentina, desperate to equalize, threw everything they had at Brazil. The match had reached a critical juncture. And then, around the 70th minute, the first major controversy erupted. Receiving a through ball inside the Brazilian box, Sergio Aguero went down to the ground. From Argentina's perspective, it was a clear penalty. It appeared that Dani Alves had impeded him just as the play was heating up. And then immediately before Brazil launched a counterattack, Thiago Silva had perhaps given him a slight shove. The players on the Argentine bench erupted in outrage, but referee Roddy Zambrano simply signaled for play to continue. What followed turned that controversial moment into a devastating disaster for Argentina. While the players were still vehemently appealing for a penalty, Brazil launched a swift and potent counterattack. Gabriel Jesus, the scorer of the first goal, now turned provider. He surged upfield and set up a simple tap-in opportunity for Roberto Firmino. Brazil extended their lead to 2-0. Within just 30 seconds after appealing for a penalty that could have leveled the score at 1-1, Argentina fell behind by 2 goals and faced the looming threat of elimination from the tournament. The players were furious. Sergio Aguero later explained that the foul was so blatant that his teammate, Juan Foyth, had actually stopped playing because he assumed the referee was about to blow the whistle. The biggest question on every Argentine's mind was, why wasn't the referee sent to the monitor for a review? The very purpose of VAR was to resolve moments like this, yet no review took place on the pitch. If the first incident felt like a hard punch to the gut, the second, which occurred just minutes before the match ended, felt like a knockout blow. Trailing by 2 goals, Argentina won a corner kick, their last genuine opportunity to get back into the match. As the ball entered the box, Argentine defender Nicolas Otamendi collided with Brazilian midfielder Arthur Melo and went down to the ground. Replays clearly showed that Arthur had visibly used his shoulder and arm to impede Otamendi, preventing him from reaching the ball. It appeared to be a textbook case of obstruction. Once again, the Argentine players swarmed the referee and began vehemently appealing for a penalty, and once again, he ignored their pleas, they were left stunned. The VAR booth had once again failed to recommend that Zambrano review the incident on the pitch-side monitor. For Argentina, this was all the proof they needed: a penalty, 2 strong penalty appeals, both ignored by the referee, and the inexplicable failure of the video assistant referee to intervene, although the match ended with a 2-0 scoreline. The result felt hollow. The profound sense of injustice felt by the Argentine squad and their supporters overshadowed the final tally. The physical battles on the pitch had ended, but the war of words had only just begun. Well, you have witnessed 2 pivotal moments: a potential foul on Aguero that directly led to a Brazilian goal, and another vehement appeal for a penalty, this time involving Otamendi, that was waved away. What do you think? Were these clear and obvious errors that VAR should have rectified? Do you agree? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. And yes, if you enjoyed this analysis, please hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss our upcoming reports. The final whistle did not bring an end to the drama. Rather, it only intensified. Lionel Messi, typically reserved in post-match interviews, unleashed his fury upon the match officials and CONMEBOL, the South American Football Confederation. He branded the referees' decisions as absurd and crazy, leveling accusations of bias against the official. They weren't better than us, Messi asserted. They scored early on, and their second goal stemmed from a penalty on Aguero, one that they failed to award us. He then turned his criticism toward the technology itself. They didn't even bother to check VAR. It's unbelievable. Sergio Aguero offered his captain his full backing. They told us VAR would function like a 5th referee. He fumed. But when incidents like this occur, I feel we would have been better off without it entirely. The Argentine Football Association went a step further, submitting a formal 6-page complaint to CONMEBOL citing the referee's grave and egregious errors. Rumors regarding technical glitches further complicated the matter. Reports surfaced prior to the match suggesting that radio interference had disrupted VAR communications. Some media outlets even speculated that the security detail of Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro might have been the cause. While CONMEBOL acknowledged a pre-match technical issue, they gave assurances that it had been resolved before kickoff and had no bearing on the game itself. However, the public had already sensed that something was amiss, and this only added fuel to the fire. Messi, too, did not remain silent. After receiving a red card in the third-place playoff, he reiterated his stance even more forcefully, famously declaring, "We should not be part of this corruption," facing intense criticism. Referee Roddy Zambrano finally broke his silence and defended his officiating decisions. In an interview, he addressed both controversial incidents directly. Speaking on the foul committed against Aguero, Zambrano asserted that, in his view, the fault lay with the Argentine player himself. Turning the incident on its head, he argued, "In the first instance, it is clear that Aguero initiated the contact. It was almost an accidental foul committed the defender." Regarding the Otamendi incident, Zambrano explained that the VAR team had reviewed the play but did not deem it a clear and obvious error, the threshold required to overturn a decision via the monitor. Zambrano stated, Otamendi had also stepped forward to make a challenge. It was not a deliberate elbow. VAR reviewed the situation and determined it was a 50-50 call. They did not consider it a clear-cut penalty. He also flatly denied the rumors regarding communication breakdowns, declaring, "My communication with VAR was never interrupted. That is completely false." Thus, the official narrative was straightforward. VAR had done its job. The referees, both on the pitch and in the video review room, simply did not agree with Argentina's interpretation of the game. However, years later, the story took a new turn. In a 2024 interview, Zambrano slightly altered his stance and admitted that a penalty had been awarded, though he did not specify exactly which one. He conceded, "It a penalty, and I didn't see it on the pitch," he added, "and obviously, VAR didn't call me in for it." This belated admission added yet another layer of confusion to the entire affair. So, let us return to the big question: was Argentina treated unfairly? The answer depends on whom you ask. For Argentina, Messi, and his millions of fans, the answer is a resounding yes. They point to two crucial penalty calls that the referee overlooked, calls that, in their view, were not properly reviewed by VAR on the pitch. They do not view Messi's impassioned remarks regarding corruption merely as the bitter rantings of a defeated side. Rather, they see them as proof that something went terribly wrong. The second goal, which came just seconds after their vehement appeals for a penalty following the foul on Aguero, remains, in their eyes, the ultimate proof of this injustice. On the other hand, the narrative from Brazil and the match officials is quite different. They view the match as a hard-fought and ultimately crushing victory secured on home soil. Referee Roddy Zambrano stood firm in his decisions, at least initially, arguing that even the VAR team had acknowledged that these were not clear and obvious errors. From their perspective, it was simply a case of a losing team in a major match casting about for someone to blame. A common occurrence, the 2019 Copa America semifinal will forever be remembered for this controversy. It gave rise to conspiracy theories and formal complaints, and subjected Lionel Messi to a level of public outrage unlike anything we had ever witnessed before. Yet, looking back, it seems that perhaps precisely that anger and that profound sense of injustice was exactly what the team needed. That very same squad went on to win the next Copa America in 2021, defeating Brazil in the final and subsequently conquered the world in 2022. Perhaps that painful, bitter defeat was the very spark that ignited all their future success. But what do you think, after all the debate and controversy? Was this a grave injustice, or simply the ruthless, personal reality of football? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. If you want to join the conversation on some of the biggest controversies in football history, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and ring the bell icon so you don't miss a single video. We'll see you in the next one.